Hello everyone, I am Ambika and today we are going to see how a ML algorithm basically works. So I am going to explain in the context of linear regression, like how do we use training data to predict values, how are error values computed, and how error values decrease as the training progresses. So we are going to predict the prices of houses in Boston using linear regression. Um, so for that, firstly we have to import all the required libraries. So here we have imported NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, load underscore Boston. Boston is the data set that we are going to use for the prediction, and underscore mean squared error, train test split, min max scalar, and from ipython.display we are going to import HTML. So basically, NumPy is used for performing vectorized operations and also to work with multi-dimensional arrays. And coming to pandas, we use pandas for providing data structures like data frames where data can be loaded and manipulated easily, like slicing, deleting rows, etc. etc. And matplotlib is for the visualization purpose. And coming to sklearn, sklearn has got so many algorithms for training models, data pre-processing. Like here we are going to use train test split for data pre-processing. Yeah, the next is to load the data set. Here we are loading the Boston dataset and storing it in Boston, and then we are printing the description of the Boston dataset. As you can see, it has got 13 features and one target attribute. Midway is the target attribute, and crim, zn, indus, etc. up to lstat are the features in the dataset. So basically, features are nothing but those values upon which the label or the outcome is going to be dependent on, and target value is the one we are going to predict. So yeah, now we are going to fetch all the features and store them in the features data frame. And now I'm going to print features. So as you can see, we have features like crim, zn, index, cas, nox, rm, age, dis, rad, tags, um, pt ratio, b, lstat, etc. And we can even uh, so here I'm just displaying the data, like fetching only two columns, yeah, like that. And now I'm fetching the target data and storing it in the target data frame. So as you can see here, the target is in this form. It has got 506 rows, whole data set, the 506 feature values and 506 target values. Now we are going to combine all the features and target. As you can see, the syntax is pd.concat, and the data frames that we want to combine. Here in this case, features and target axis is equals to 1 means we are going to concat with respect to columns. So this is our data frame after concatenation. Like you can see, target is added to the data frame df, is added along with the features and stored in df. Now here I'm using describe function. Basically, describe is used to give details about basic statistical operations like mean, maximum value, minimum value, etc. So yeah, here count is nothing but total number of rows in our data set, and mean, for every column we are calculating the mean, that is average, and the minimum value, maximum value. So here, what exactly we are doing is, we are finding the correlation. Correlation is nothing but how much is the target value dependent on particular feature. So we are calculating this in order to find how how much our target value is dependent on each variable. So we are going to pick the feature or attribute that is having maximum correlation with the target value, and use that attribute for predicting the price of the house. So here I'm going to use Pearson method. We have so many methods, but here I'm using Pearson method. Now here I'm using the core object to determine the correlation between all the attributes and the target values. So basically, how is this going to work is, for each of the value in the features, we are going to find the corresponding correlation with the target value, and then we are going to zip, means we are going to combine the current correlation of that attribute with the feature name, and store in the form of tuple. We are going to combine and store all of them in the form of a list. Then we are going to sort that list in the descending order. Here reverse is equals to true, which describes that it is going to sort in the descending order. Then we are unzipping the two lists. So basically, as you can see here, if the list is in this form, list of lists, suppose ABC is a list, DEF is list, GHI is left, and all these lists are present in one list, then zip of star L is going to give us this one. A, D, G in one list, B, E, H in one list, etc. So now what it does is, it separates the correlation values in our example. It separates the correlation values and the labels. Now we are going to plot the correlation values with respect with the labels. So as you can see here, LSTAT is having the maximum correlation value with the target one. Next, after that, we are RM is having the second highest correlation value. So here we are picking LSTAT to predict the target value, to predict the price of the house. And now we are normalizing the data. Basically, why do we normalize the data is, if different columns have values in different ranges, like some of the columns have values in the range of 0 to 9, and some have values in the range of 10,000 to 20,000. What an ML algorithm does is, the ML algorithms thinks that the attributes with highest values must be given high priority. So this may lead to errors in the model. So normalization is performed in order to reduce that. Basically, in normalization, what we do is, we convert all the values in the respective attribute from 0 to 1. So here, as we have chosen LSTAT for predicting the house prices, I'm going to store the LSTAT values in X and target values in Y. So to perform the normalization, we are using min-max scalar. What min-max scalar does is it finds the maximum value and converts the values from 0 to 1 so that all the columns or attributes are given equal importance and there should not be any error. So yeah, we here fit transform is fit transform method is used. Basically, fit finds the maximum value in the attribute and transform applies it to the data set and converts it from 0 to 1. So yeah, corresponding scalar objects, different scalar objects should be used for different columns. Like here we have used for X, we have used X underscore scalar, and for Y we have used Y underscore scalar. And here during scaling, one extra dimension is produced. So to in order to avoid that, we are doing this. And the next step is to split the data. We split the data into train data set and the test data set. Train data set is the data on which we are going to train the model, and test data set is the data set which we are going to use for testing the model, whether the model is predicting accurate values or not. So here, for this, we are going to use train underscore test underscore split methods and pass the X and Y values. Here test size is equals to 0.2, means 20% of the whole data is given as test data set and the remaining 80% is given as training data set. Yeah, now we are going to define the error function. Basically, error function or loss function is used to evaluate how well our model fits the data set. It is a measure of how different the predicted are from the actual values. So for a good model, we are going to have lower values of error function or loss function, and for bad models, we are going to have higher values of loss function. Yeah, this error function has got m, that as we are using linear regression, so the equation for linear regression is y is equals to mx plus c. y is equals to mx plus c. Here y is the predicted value, m is the slope, and c is the intercept, and x is the data, that is the training or testing data set that we are going to provide. Yeah, so here in this we are going to define error function. The parameters for error function are m, x, c, and t. Here m is this m is the slope, x is the training value, c is the intercept, and t is the target value. So basically here we are using mean squared error. We have mean squared error. What mean square error does is it produces average of squared difference between prediction and actual values. So we also have other error functions like mean absolute error, cross entropy loss. So what we usually do in mean square error is we find the predicted value. As here we have predicted value as mx plus c. We will find the predicted value and then going to subtract it from the actual target value, then obtain their difference, and then we are going to square them and sum all the error values, then divide by the total number of values in the training data set. Then we are having gradient descent. Basically, gradient descent is an optimization algorithm. It is used to minimize some function by iteratively moving in the direction of steepest descent. We use gradient descent to update the parameters of our model, so we arrive at an final m and c values where our model gives best prediction. So we are going to have the this is the update function, which updates the values of m and c based on the learning rate. And then we are going to have gradient descent. Gradient descent uses both error function and update function to arrive at the final m and c values where the predictions are pretty good. So the parameters for gradient descent are init underscore m, init underscore c, xt, learning rate, iterations, error threshold. So init underscore m is the initial value of m, init underscore c is the initial value of c, x is the training data set, and t is the target values, learning rate is it is the rate of learning, and iterations are nothing but the number of iteration. Error threshold is how much error do we want, how much is the acceptable error. So basically we are going to store init m in m, init c in c, and then we are going to create two empty list, error values, mc values. For each so as for all the values in the iterations, like number of iterations, we are running the for loop and computing the error. If that error is less than the error we have mentioned, we are stopping this values and storing and we are retaining that m and c values. Otherwise we are going to append that error values to the error values list, and again we are going to update the m and c values until we attain the final m and c values. So here as you can see, I have given initial m as 0.9, initial c as 0, and learning rate 0.001, number of iterations 250, and threshold error is 0.001. Now we are going to call the gradient descent. After calling this gradient descent, it is going to give us the final m and c values where our predictions are going to be pretty good. Now we are going to visualize how as the training is progressing, how are the m and c values are changing, and what is the line after the whole process has completed, and what is the final line. So yeah. It is taking time. Now as you can see the line is shifting from initially I've given 0, so the line has started from here, and as the MNC values got updated, it has moved to here where all the points tend to be clustered. So yeah, this is it. We are going to plot the X train, Y train, and then we are going to also visualize the X train and our predicted value, that is M star X train plus C. So yeah, these are the training data set points, and this is the line that we have predicted. So as you can see, the line covers almost all values, so it gives pretty good prediction. And this is the plot which describes the error values. So after some time, the error seemed to be constant, it is not changing. So this, after the final MNC values are achieved, this is going to be the case. Now we are going to make the predictions on the test data set. So yeah, we are going to predict the test. We are going to make predictions on the test data set. Here as you can see, we have done the prediction. Here we need not use always for loop because NumPy provides us way to compute vectorized operations, and here we are going to compute the mean squared error by passing y-test, which are the actual values, and the predicted values which we have predicted. So the error is something like this. And now we are going to store the x-test, y-test, and our predicted values in a data frame, and see the first 5 items. Here head gives the first 5 items of the data set. So yeah, as you can see, our model predicts pretty good. But as you can see, these predictions are between 0 and 1, but the actual prices are somewhat in dollars. So this is because we have scaled the values. So in order to overcome that, we have to we have to do inward normalization. So yeah, as we have the predicted x-test and y-test in the form of rows, we are converting them to columns by using the reshape function. Here I am passing columns as 1 and rows as -1. -1 indicates that in the runtime we can decide the number of rows with respect to the columns. So we have obtained predicted x-test and y-test in the form of columns, and now we are going to pass these to inverse transform in order to revert the normalization. So here we have to use the same scalar objects that we have used earlier. So as you can see here, for x values we have used x underscore scalar, and y, for y values we have used y underscore scalar. So in the same way, we have to use the corresponding scalar objects for x-test and y-test. Now after scaling, yeah, as I've told you before, scaling produces one extra dimension. So in order to remove that, we are doing this for all the three: x-test, y-test, and predicted. And now we are going to store all of the three values in a data frame, and see, we are going to round them to do decimals and see the first 10 values of the data frame. So as you can see, it is quite good. Thank you. The explanation ends here.